Hello friends, welcome to Diksha Classroom. In the last few days, we have been discussing many questions from the topic of communication, which were asked in the last NTA NET examination, which was happened in the months of September, October and November. So far, we have discussed many questions, and today we are going to discuss some of other questions from the topic of communication. So let's start the discussion. So the question 1 is, the consequences of effective classroom communication are, and we have given the 5 statements, and out of these 5 statements and 5 targets, we have to be identified which among them are the consequences of effective classroom communication. We need to identify that, and we have given 5 options. First one, enhanced expectations of teacher from students. Whether the effective classroom communication, whether the consequences of effective classroom communication include enhanced expectation of teacher from students, or it includes learning as satisfying pursuit, whether it is include increased promotional prospects for teachers, and the fourth one, enabling students to achieve goals, and the last and final one, positive learning outcomes. Out of these 5 things, which are the things are included in the consequences of effective classroom communication? We need to identify that, and we have given 4 options. Option A, 1, 2, 3 only, and option B, 2, 3 and 4 only, and option C, 3, 4 and 5 only, and last one, option D, 2, 4 and 5 only. So this is the question. If you have known the answer, you can comment the answer below, and if you want more time to answer this question, you can pause the video and later you can continue this discussion. So we are going to check the answer. So the answer is 2, 4 and 5. 2, 4 and 5. We know that the consequences of effective classroom communication, we know that enhanced expectations of teacher from students. We know that it should not be the consequences of an effective classroom. And the third one, increased promotional prospects for teachers. It is also, we have the idea like the increased promotional prospects for teachers. It is not a sequence. It should not be a sequence of an effective classroom communication. We know that. And when we check the second one, learning as satisfying pursuit, that we know that the learning as satisfying pursuit, that is a good thing. A classroom communication should be a satisfying pursuit. Both the teacher and the students, both people should get the satisfaction after the learning process. When a class ends, the teacher should get the satisfaction, and as well as the students also should get the satisfaction. The learning outcome should be like the teacher and the students should be satisfied after the discussion, or after the class, or after the lecturing. So we can say that learning as a satisfying pursuit is a consequences of effective classroom communication. And the fourth one, enabling students to achieve goals. So it is a primary duty, or it is a fundamental duty of a teacher to enabling or to helping students to achieve their goals. The students in a classroom, there are many students, and each students have different goals and targets, like in a life or in a future. Like we can say that in a future, what I want to become, or in which position I want to sit. Like the students have different goals and targets. So the teacher should address that. The teacher should facilitate the students to achieve these kinds of their goals and targets. So enabling students to achieve goals, when a teacher enabling students to achieve a goal, means it is a symbol, or it is a consequence of an effective classroom communication. And the last one, we know that the positive learning outcome. When we talk about the learning outcome should be positive. There should not be any kinds of, or there should not be any sorts of negative learning outcomes, like a teacher should not teach the students to become to learn negative attitude. So the teacher should not be do that. The teacher should promote the positive attitudes among the students. A teacher does not helps or facilitate to create the criminal attitudes among students, because it is a negative outcome. Instead, the teachers help students to achieve their targets and their goals. The outcome should be positive. Anti-social elements should not be promoted inside the classroom, because that is a negative outcome. Like we can say that the outcome of the learning should be positive, or positive learning outcomes. When the outcome of the classroom communication will be the positive, we can say that that is one of the consequence of effective classroom communication. So I hope you have understood the question and answer the concepts. So we can move to the next one. So in this question, we have given two statements, statement 1 and statement 2. It is not like assertion and reason, but we have given just two statements we have given, and we need to identify out of these two statements, or among these two statements, which of the options are true, or which of the option is right one. And we have given option A, both statement 1 and statement 2 are true, and option B, both statement 1 and statement 2 are false, and option C, statement 1 is correct but statement 2 is false, and option D, statement 1 is incorrect but statement 2 is true. So we need to identify whether the statement 1 is true or false, and whether the statement 2 is true or false. We need to identify that whether among these statements which one is true and which one is false, or both one are true or not. We need to identify that. So if you have the answer, you can comment the answer. So we are going to check the answer now. So the statement 1 is incorrect. The statement 1 is incorrect and the statement 2 is true. So we know that the statement 1. Then we want to understand, or we want to identify why the statement 1 become false or incorrect, and why or how the statement 2 become true or correct. We need to understand that. So when we analyze the statement 1, we can read like, free and unlimited use of non-verbal cues enhance the communicative aspects of classroom teaching. So here one key term is there, that is non-verbal cues. We know that non-verbal cues, there are verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Verbal communication, we know that we can divide into two, oral and written. So we can say that the oral communication means the communication by using words, but non-verbal communication, we know that without using words. It is a symbols and signs like body language, eye contact, facial expressions, like it is a non-verbal communication. So the non-verbal cues we have said just earlier, like non-verbal cues means eye contact, position of the body, postures, our gestures like eye contact, facial expression, body language, like the non-verbal cues. And this statement says the free and unlimited use of these kinds of non-verbal cues enhance the communicative aspects of classroom teaching. So in this statement, it clearly says free and unlimited. So we need to identify the word unlimited and free. Free and unlimited use of non-verbal cues, and it says it enhances the communicative aspects of classroom teaching. So we know that non-verbal cues are very important. Non-verbal cues are very important factor in classroom communication, but it should have the limitation. When we use unwanted And when we use unwantedly these kinds of non-verbal cues, or when we use the non-verbal cues, or like unlimited use of non-verbal cues should not enhance the communicative aspects of classroom teaching. There should be a parity between using non-verbal cues and the verbal words. So when we use the unlimited non-verbal cues, it does not helps to enhance the classroom communication. So we can say that the statement 1 is incorrect. And when we analyze statement 2, a pleasant persona of the teacher enlivens the classroom ecosystem. So here we can understand that pleasant persona, and it says enlivens the classroom ecosystem. So we know that the pleasant persona, it means we know that the teacher who is always happy, then we can say it will inspire the students, it will enliven the students, and it will inspire the entire classroom ecosystem. When a teacher comes to the classroom and when a teacher takes the discussions, when a teacher leads the discussion with a happy face, or when a teacher who is always happy, the students will get inspired from the teacher. So we can say that a pleasant person of the teacher enlivens the classroom ecosystem. So we can say that the statement 2 is true. So the correct option is option D. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is true. So I hope you have understood this concept, and if you have any doubts, you can ask the doubts as a comment here and we will be clarified soon. So we can move to the next question. So in this question we have given two lists, and this is a match the following question, match the list question, and list 1 communicates or the list 1, it is related to communication barriers. We know that in a communication there are several kinds of barriers. So the list 1 includes these kinds of some barriers. 4 kinds of barriers are there in list 1, and list 2 says the description of the communication barriers. So we have to identify which description is suitable to the communication barriers. So among the 4 communication barriers and among the 4 description of such barriers, we need to identify which communication barriers are suitable to, or which communication barriers are appropriate to this among descriptions. So we need to identify that. So in a communication barrier we have given semantic communication barrier, psychological communication barrier, personal communication barrier, and physical communication barrier. And in the description side there is lack of physical clarity in a channel, faulty message is there, poor retention is there, lack of time is there. So we need to match this communication barrier with proper description of that barrier. And we have given 4 options, A, B, C and D. So let's move to the answer. So when we analyze the answer, we can say that the semantic barrier means here it is a faulty message. We know that semantic barrier means when the interpretation of the message will be different, when the sender, the interpretation of the sender are different from the interpretation of the receiver. The interpretation of the sender and the receiver and sender interpret the message in different way, we can say that there is a semantic barrier. So semantic barriers will be happen through the faulty message. When the message is faulty, the sender cannot communicate his intention to the receiver. So we can say that semantic barrier is related to faulty message. And we can say that psychological communication barrier is related to pure retention. We know that retention means the holding capacity or the storing or the storage capacity. When the storage or the holding capacity of a person is pure, so we can say that it is a psychological communication barrier. And we know that C, personal. In this here, personal communication barriers means lack of time. We know that the one person is different from other person. The time of the one person is different from the other person. I mean, it is depends upon the busy of the person. If one person or person A has lots of works, then he don't have much time to do or much time to communicate his information to other persons. It is depends upon person to person, so it is a personal thing. So we can say that communication barrier, the personal communication barrier, the description is pure lack of time is a part of personal communication barrier. So C4. Then the last one, physical. We know that lack of physical clarity in a channel. So lack of physical clarity in channel means the barriers is there is a physical barrier. So the physical here directly said like lack of physical clarity in channel. So we can say that option B is the right answer. A, semantic barrier is faulty message, and B, psychological barrier is pure retention, and personal barrier is lack of time, and physical barrier is lack of physical clarity in channel. So we can move to the next one. So in this question, again we have given two statements, and statement 1 says signs and symbols have internal relations to produce meanings, and statement 2, this is possible because of a network of signs through such relations. So among these two statements, we want to identify which one is true and which one is false, or both one are true or both one are false. We need to identify that. So your answer, you can comment your answer. We are going to the answer of this question. So the answer is both statement 1 and statement 2 are true. Statement 1 is true and statement 2 is true. So it is one of the easy question. So we can understand the signs and symbols have internal relations to produce meanings. We know that signs and symbols are part of non-verbal communication, and it gives or it produces different meanings. We can understand the meanings when we see some signs and symbols. Suppose when we see the red light in the traffic signal, we can understand that we have to stop the vehicle, and when it becomes green, we can move to forward. So it produces meanings because because signs and symbols are internal relations. So we can say that statement 1 is true, and when we analyze statement 2, this is possible because of a network of signs through such relations. So that is obviously true. The signs and symbols have the internal relations, and that are producing meanings, and it is possible because of the network of signs through such relation. So we can say that both statement 1 and statement 2 are true. So the next one, again we have got two statements, and here one difference is there. That is, we have given two statements, but statements are assertion and reason. So first of all, we have to read the assertion. Allowing an issue to fester will contribute to effective communication. And reason, a good communicator will address an issue in the classroom before it becomes precarious. That is the question, and we need to identify which of the following option is true. Option A, both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of A. Option B, both assertion and reason are true, but reason is not correct explanation of A. And option C, assertion is true but reason is false. And option D, assertion is false but reason is true. So you can comment your answer. We are going to check the answer. So the answer is assertion is false but reason is true. Assertion is false but reason is true. It is another easy question which NTA has asked the last time. So we can analyze how the assertion become false, why the assertion says like it is a false, and how the reason or why the reason become true. We need to identify, we need to understand that. So let's discuss the assertion. So assertion says allowing an issue to fester will contribute to effective communication. Allowing an issue to fester. So we can say that when there is an issue, we should not address an issue like allowing an issue to fester will not contribute to effective classroom communication, because it is a negative aspect. When there is an issue, we should address as soon as possible. We should not too late to address that issue or that problem. So we can say that assertion is wrong. Then when we analyze the reason, a good communicator will address an issue in the classroom before it becomes precarious. Will address an issue. So we can say that a good communicator will address an issue in the classroom before it becomes precarious. So when there is an issue or when there is a problem inside the classroom and the communicator is a good person, or if there is a good communicator, he or she address the problem as soon as possible, and he or she should not be too late to address the problem. When the problem emerge, that time itself the communicator should solve the problem. So we can say that the reason is right. So assertion is false and the reason is true. So the option D is the right answer. So these are the questions we have discussed today, and tomorrow we will discuss further questions from the topic of communication. Thank you.